why do lecturers strike in the UK? I'm actually also a pensions officer for my local UCU branch, so I'm quite involved in the discussions around the strike and in particular around pension issues. I focus more on pensions because honestly this is where it really hurts, so this is where we lose most of the money, but there are other issues, we call them the four fights, which are interrelated, and I will talk about this at the end of the video. So first, it's important to understand what kind of pensions we actually have as academics in the UK. USS is a combination of a defined benefit scheme, so where it depends on your salary, what you get in your pension, and not on the performance of the stock market or any other investments. But we also have a defined contribution part of the pension. Now, defined contribution means basically you put money into the pot, the USS managers invest the money, and fingers crossed, you hope it works out, and you get a pension at the end of it. Because of the low value of the assets, which was driven by the COVID pandemic, so basically our scheme was in a deficit. However, this was caused by the timing of evaluation, because right now the USS is again in surplus because the stock market recovered. At the same time, of course, interest rates have fundamentally changed, which has implications in particular if you want to convert a pot of money into an annuity, which is now much easier to achieve. So the main arguments for the cuts are no longer valid, but still at the moment, this is what has happened. The details are rather complicated, but fundamentally what they have done is they reduced the salary threshold to about £40,000. Now, of course, you can argue, hang on, 40,000 is quite a lot of money. So where is the issue? Many people don't get to that level, in particular in their pension. One issue is you don't accrue that much per year. So in 1 year, you accrue 1 divided by 85 of this £40,000. So again, that sounds maybe reasonable, but you have to work for 42.5 years to reach half of that money, so 20,000. Now, 42.5 years is a long period, because in academia, to actually become a lecturer, well, you have to have a PhD. So you do your undergrad, you do your master, you do a PhD. It takes usually 3 years, but most likely 4 years or longer. Then you will do most likely a postdoc phase, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years. Then if you're lucky, you get a lectureship, and quite likely you might not get full-time employment. And so on. So there's lots of uncertainty here. So put differently, it's quite common that you get your first lectureship at the age of maybe 34, 35. So will you work for 42.5 years? Most likely not. Most likely you will drop much before that. So it's not going to happen that you reach half of the 40,000. So the easiest way to see the impact of these changes is to look at a few examples, which I have done here. Again, there is a link to the USS modeler, so you can just, try it yourself. And of course, being the data nerd, whatever we do here is data driven. So I don't just tell stories, it's all data driven. So looking at the data, it doesn't look very nice, honestly speaking. So the first case, so this is more like a person like me, 43 years old. Actually, now I'm 44 plus, earning at the moment £45,000. So in this particular case, the defined pension would drop from about 15,000 to below 10,000. However, you get more money than moved into the defined contribution part of the scheme. So that will increase the pension pot available. You can convert this into an annuity. So this is the money you are guaranteed until death. in the end, these changes work out as a loss of about £4,000. And then there's an example for someone who is a bit younger and has also more career progression ahead. And for younger people, it can be a lot more severe. So they might lose £5,000. We had members in our branch that lose £8,000 or £9,000 per year in retirement. So that is quite substantial. The problem with the pension cuts are they came quite unexpected. We didn't really plan for it, and it's a substantial loss. And it also, of course, limits the amount your dependents can expect if you bite the dust earlier. But it's not the only issue. The other issues are summarized as the 4 fights. So basically, it's about pay, it's about workload, it's about equality, and casualization in the sector. All of these also affect, in a way, pensions. So first, when it comes to the pay dispute, obviously we experience very high inflation rates in excess of 10%. At the moment, of course, negotiations are going on, but it's very unlikely we get anywhere close to 10%. So we have experienced cuts in pay in real terms for many years. Again, this is not uncommon. You have seen similar developments in the case of pay for nurses, for instance, teachers, and so on. So it's very typical, sadly, for the public sector. Workload is the other issue because of COVID. Workload has gone up, but also consistently over years, workload only went in one direction. So let's see what happens. Fingers crossed.